On this week's episode of the Virtual Press Box, it is Nick and Griffin manning the booth while Ricky and Drake are out playing in the ATL. So this week we got roundup of the Major League Baseball seasons up to this point, kind of what the week was this past week. And then also NFL preseason football is underway. We're that much closer to the regular season beginning. So we have a lot to talk about with what's been going on in the NFL. Then, of course, the award-winning segment, Give Me Five. So before we get to all that, let's roll the music.
That's definitely not been the problem, but going back to dinner.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Virtual Press Box. That's right, it's me stepping into the main seat this week with Ricky out on assignment. I'm joined by Griffin, so Griffin and I get to kind of go back and forth about the world of sports while, like I said, Ricky's out with Drake playing in the ATL, Mets and Braves down at the Battery in Atlanta. So I know one of the two is having a great night. The other one is miserable right now. So
it's pretty easy to guess which one is which.
Yes, it is. One of their teams is on a roll, and the other one is from Queens. So, But man, how have you been? How's it been going?
It's going pretty good. Just getting in the flow of a new job and stuff. I've been throwing my sports watching off, but I'm got to get locked in.
Yeah.
Especially when football comes around.
Yeah, it's no joke. NFL season started last week with the Hall of Fame game. We'll get into that here in a little bit. And the first full slate of preseason games is tomorrow night. We're recording Wednesday night, so this will be Thursday night. We'll get quite a few games and goes through the weekend. But yeah, and it's the NFL juggernaut. So once it gets started, it does not stop till early February. Actually, I think February 14th is the Super Bowl this year or next year. So anybody who has to make Valentine's Day plans, start making them now, because Super Bowl falls on Valentine's Sunday, which could be a little iffy for some people. So
better get your date in the morning.
Yeah, or have a hell of a Saturday night planned, I guess.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, before we jump into Major League Baseball talk, let's hear from our one and only sponsor, the one who's kept us afloat, kept the lights on for the last few months. That's W Energy. That's right. The Virtual Press Box has partnered with W Energy and their patented jitter-free formula that makes them the next generation of energy drink. So head on over to wenergy.com, and when you get to checkout, after you picked one of their amazing flavors, make sure to use our coupon VPB2023. That's VPB2023, and get yourself 10% off on us. Now, let's get this show started. And as always, I mean, who doesn't love a little bit of an energy drink any time of the day? But to get back on track, Major League Baseball. We've gone through the All-Star break. We've gone through the trade deadline now. So really, we're kind of running out of milestones to before we get to the end of the year and the playoff push for some teams. Some teams are clutching onto that wild card spot, and then others are literally already planning vacations. So, unfortunately, your team, which has been in a pretty good seat the last few years, is not looking so hot so far this season.
We're definitely on a slump at the moment. But I will say it could be worse, honestly.
Yeah?
Because we're only 5 games back.
Which is crazy, because you think Mariners I think tonight they dropped their 5th game in a row, but they're still only 5 games back of the division lead.
Yes.
I mean, that's
pretty weak division this year.
Hey, but again, like we always say, it doesn't matter what sport it is. All you have to do is get in the playoffs. Doesn't matter how you got there. Just get in the playoffs.
That's right.
Everything else can kind of fall into place. But yeah, I mean, so you have the Mariners 56 and 64. not a great overall, but when you think about, like I said, they're a game or 4 games behind Texas for second place, 5 games behind Houston for first place in the AL West. So, I mean, there's still quite a bit of baseball left to play. Like we're 120 games in, so we still got I can't kind of do the math.
About 60.
Yeah, so we still got a lot of baseball left to be played.
And if you remember last year, we went on a run at the end of the year, and that's what got us to the ALCS.
Well, and the Mariners are one of those confusing teams because they didn't lose a lot of guys from last year. It's not like they had an overhaul of the team like the Marlins or Devil Rays do every couple of years. They pretty much kept their team intact with a few pieces here or there moving, but overall, it's just guys who haven't really performed up to the way they had been performing up to the season. So
especially the MVP runner-up last year.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh. But that should give a little bit of hope, though, that all the pieces are still there. We just got to figure out a way to get it turned back on. And to your point, they flipped the switch like they did last year, and maybe it's a different conversation when we get to the postseason. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm one of those guys that, with all my sports teams, when they're doing good, it's cautiously optimistic because it could fall apart in a heartbeat, especially in baseball. Teams go on runs, good and bad, all the time. The Cubs are on a heck of a run right now, sitting 3.5 behind the Brewers for first place in the Central, but they have a deathlock on the first place in the wild card race. So, one way or another, they're looking pretty good right now. Their pitching has been a little shaky, even with the additions they made at the trade deadline. But man, their offense. I think Bregman just had 3 home runs tonight, so it's finally great to see him kind of breaking out of the slump. But their defense and their offense is kind of what's kept them in games. Their starting pitching has been pretty decent. The middle relief, though, has been scary, just like it's been all year long. That's the one thing they didn't really fix at the trade deadline. So hopefully, with injuries, all these guys supposedly coming back as we ramp up to the end of the season, they can kind of sort out how the postseason bullpen will look. But man,
and I feel like the pitchers, it's so hard to tell.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, we were like you mentioned in the pre-show stuff. The length of the baseball season lends a lot of that to it. It's just so hard to stay locked in as a pitcher for that long of a time. I mean, like, especially, I know you get rest between starts, but it's not like you're standing out there on first base waiting for a ball to get hit to you. When you're out on the mound, like, it's every pitch is you. Like, it's And I don't know. I mean, I know you follow baseball. You have followed it for a while. I don't know if many people at home understand like how just exhausting it can be to be a pitcher, like constantly playing the mind games with the batter and the opposing coaches. Like, it's kind of this one-upsmanship back and forth, like trying to outsmart each other.
And every player likes the ball in different areas.
Yep.
They like it, over the plate, down low. It's so hard to tell. Like, being a pitcher has to be one of the hardest things in the sport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, case in point, probably one of the guys up until maybe this season was really the heir apparent with Mizorowski and Milwaukee. You had Skeens in Pittsburgh, who was kind of supposed to be that next young stud pitcher. And he is, I don't want to say he's fallen off a cliff this season, but he is not as relevant as they thought he was going to be. He's kind of disappeared a little bit. Then today he gets lifted after only like 60-something pitches. Velocity way down. Don't think it's an injury necessarily, but still, it's one of those things where it could just be something's just not connecting upstairs, and he's just he's just not locked in for whatever reason, and maybe he'll figure it out before the end of the season. Maybe he doesn't, but that's a guy that going into the season was supposed to be one of the next young studs in Major League Baseball, and for whatever reason, it's not working out right now. And who knows? Maybe he turns it on, maybe he doesn't. But kind of like Cal Raleigh. I mean, like, he was a guy runner up for the MVP last year, and he didn't just take a step back. Like, he disappeared.
Yeah. And I think part of Cal, there's a lot of expectation now.
Right.
That he's going to be, you know, one of the main hitters in the lineup, and he's going to hit 40 to 50 home runs every year, you know. But it's just so far has disappeared this year.
Well, I think too the other part of it is another season means there's more stuff to study for the opposing pitchers. So now when you come to the plate, they've seen every at bat that you've had. They've seen like they probably faced you once or twice, so they know, like you said before, they kind of know what you like and don't like. So suddenly he's not an unknown. He's the runner up to the MVP. He's going to be handled quite a bit differently by the opposing pitching staff. So that's a whole other layer to it as well. But it's crazy to me that we sit here on April 12th and the White Sox are still comfortably in first place. I know it's only a 3-game lead, but it's the White Sox. I mean, like, this is a team that. Whew.
That is one thing that surprised me whenever I started like doing my notes and stuff. I was like, man, the White Sox are still number one in the AL Central.
Yeah, I mean, like, so some of it is the Cleveland wasn't as good as we thought they were going to be. Detroit was nowhere near as good as we thought they were going to be. And they had some injuries that have kind of come up and bit them. The Twins have kind of were what they were. But the White Sox, I mean, like I said, 2 seasons ago, they set the record for worst team in the history of the sport. And here they are right now. And, season started, they were in first place kind of from the beginning. And everybody's kind of like, hey, but yeah, just let the season kind of play out. They're going to come back down to earth a little bit. Somebody else in the division will jump up like we expected. And nope, the White Sox are actually good. I mean, they're playing good baseball.
Yeah, and whenever Murakami signs with the White Sox, everyone's like, oh, he's nothing. Like, he's just whatever. But he has proved everyone wrong, I feel like he's an amazing player.
Well, and he wanted a certain contract. I can't remember if he wanted the guaranteed money. Or he wanted at least 3 years. And no other team would give him that. Not one. Not the Dodgers, not the Yankees, who notoriously spend money on anybody. Wouldn't give him the 3 years. And I think it was either 3 or 5, whatever it was. But they were offering 1 and 2. And the White Sox were like, hey, we got nothing to lose. We'll throw our hat in the ring. I mean, like, who knows? And then it turns out they were the only ones that offered it to him. And he was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to the south side of Chicago. Yeah, and it turned out to be just a ridiculous get for them.
Yeah, and along with, is it Colson Montgomery?
Yes.
He's also been playing pretty damn good. I knew he was at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure as of now, but
no, as a team, they've continued. The individual guys that kind of started them out have kind of carried it. That's what, and they've also been, for the most part, injury free to their guys that have turned out to be heavy hitters. So that's another thing that people don't get to in any sport. Some teams just get lucky with injuries, and some get super unlucky with injuries. We'll kind of hint to that a little bit in the NFL preview, but I guarantee you, when you get to teams in the playoffs that you didn't expect to be there, you can go back and look at one of the things they have in common is they avoided devastating injuries throughout the season.
Yeah, and it's like the Yankees this year. They finally got Garrett Cole back. Yep. He's been playing great, but Aaron Judge is one of the best hitter, probably the best hitter in baseball, is out for basically the entire year. Unless they make the playoffs, and maybe.
And they are praying that he gets back in time. Like, there's not even a guarantee that. I mean, like, that's just a kind of a hope. Hopefully, they can get him back. But yeah, it's I don't know. That's another division. Like, you have a division of the Toronto Blue Jays, who've been in the mix, for the World Series the last couple seasons. You have the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, but a team that is up 6.5 games in the division is the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah.
And that honestly surprised me, and they are currently on an 8-game winning streak.
9 now after today.
Okay, 9. Yeah. I mean, whenever you go on like a good streak like that propels you into the top of the division, especially in baseball.
Yeah, like I said, 6.5 games up on the Yankees right now, 9.5 up on the Red Sox, who are both having very good seasons. It's not like they're down by any means yet. Boston 64-55. The Yankees are 67-52. But the Rays lead the American League in wins with 74-46 right now. Actually, the only team that actually they're tied with Milwaukee for the best record overall. Milwaukee's got one more loss right now at 74-47. But I mean, who the hell would have thought the Devil Rays are the
Tampa Bay
best in baseball?
Yeah,
I
mean, that's the thing with baseball is that like success can come out of nowhere. You know, it doesn't really like with football. You know, you got teams like it's got bad players on it, and you know, it's just you're going to be a bad team.
But like you said in football, if you have a solid quarterback or a really good defense and a solid offensive line, we're going to be pretty good. We're going to be able to compete. Baseball, like it's who knows? Like, is it going to be hitting now? Is it going to be our pitching that saves us? Is it going to be defense? Is it going to be, the long ball, or are we playing small ball? Like you never know. And the Devil Rays, or the Rays, I know they're called, are always used as one of the examples of why baseball is suffering right now, because their salary is one of the lowest in the league. But here they are, the second best record in the league. So the rebuttal argument to you got to spend a lot of money like the Dodgers is, well, no, look at the Brewers and Devil Rays are two of the bottom 10 total team salaries, and here they are, the two best teams in baseball.
Yeah, no, and I know it's such a weird situation with that. I don't know how it's going to be resolved. I don't know if there is a resolve.
I do think you do have to have a salary cap of some kind just for competitiveness, but I think with that, you do have to have a salary floor. I'm not saying it has to be, because there's always going to be teams that are going to spend the absolute minimum. That's just, they're not there to necessarily win. They're there to make money. That's fine, whatever. And that hopefully as a fan, you understand that your team is like that, and you just enjoy going to the game, enjoy rooting for them. It's kind of like being an MTSU football fan. I'm not rooting for them hoping they're going to win the national championship. Okay. I mean, I want them to be competitive. I would like to see them go to a bowl game. That would be amazing. But I also like going to that stadium and watching football at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium in Murfreesboro. It's just a very cool atmosphere. But I don't think they're going to win the national championship. I go in knowing that. That's one of the things that's messed me up about Illinois being actually pretty good. Now I'm like, well,
maybe they can.
Illinois to compete. I mean, Indiana just did it. I mean, why can't Illinois? So, but in baseball, it's a little different. You want your Chicago Cubs, your Cardinals, your Yankees, your Mariners, these big market teams, these big name teams that people are familiar with. You want them to spend that money. But then the Dodgers take it to that whole ridiculous level where it's gotten to the point where now the second they say somebody's a free agent or on the trading block, your first thought is, okay, well, I wonder what he's going to look like in Dodger blue. I mean, because that's,
Yeah, and I mean, and it is just hard to tell. Like, I don't know how he's doing this year, but I'm pretty sure last year, was it Mookie Betts on the Dodgers?
Yes.
Like, he had a horrible year. But they still won. And he's an amazing player, has been.
Right. The difference is with, like, the Braves last year or the Cubs or the Mets, if your stud player doesn't play up to par or is hurt, like Soto was hurt or Acuna was hurt a couple of years ago, it's hard to make up for what that guy represented in your lineup or in the field. Whereas, like you said, the Dodgers, Mookie Betts has a ridiculously bad season and doesn't even register. Like, there's so many other guys on that roster that filled in the gap. Like, it was a non-story, really. So, I mean, like even this year, Ohtani is not having a great season.
No.
But nobody ever talks about it. Nobody talks about the fact that, Ricky and I did a minor league baseball, or did a redraft or whatever a month ago, a minor league team off of guys in the major leagues. Neither one of us drafted Ohtani. We got all the way through the draft, and that was with a DH. That was what, and we got done, and we're like, we didn't even think about Ohtani. Usually we were flipping the coin to see who got to go first so we could draft Ohtani. And it's just like, well, he hasn't pitched. He can't pitch right now because of his elbow. And hitting, he's had some good games, and he's had some games where he just disappeared for stretches. I still take him in a heartbeat, but
Yeah, no, and I feel like him not pitching is just kind of an excuse because you don't want him to get injured.
No, you don't want him to get injured. I think if he they're going to get to the postseason unless there's something catastrophic happens. So I think it's going to be kind of like last year where they save him for a moment where they really need some kind of spark or whatever. Then all of a sudden he can trot out to the mound and people are going to lose their minds and all this stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no point risking him blowing because if he blows his elbow out in August and you've lost him, going into the postseason, you can't risk that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't risk him. I would just have him be DH.
So let's see. We hit American League a little bit. National League, Drake's Braves are comfortably ahead of the Phillies 9.5 games. And I don't know, I kind of thought the Mets would make it a little bit. They're only 20.5 back of first place.
Yeah. Thought they could turn it around.
Hey, you never know. They're just need like a 20-game winning streak. And
that's also like another example with the Mets. They spend a boatload of money, and they're just awful.
Well, not only did they spend a boatload of money, but it was money well spent. I mean, it was money when they made some of these signings and trades. You're like, it wasn't like, oh my God, what are they doing? They're gambling, they're reaching. Like, no, that's a smart move. They didn't even resign Pete Alonso. They went the smart move and let him go because he was asking for so much money. He goes to the Orioles, does absolutely nothing for the Orioles. I mean, but it's not like the Mets were careless or didn't have a plan. It's just like it just hasn't worked. Injuries have happened. Obviously, Soto's been hurt off and on for a good part of the season. Lindor's been hurt. And then even when guys weren't hurt, they just really kind of weren't playing up to their potential or what the expectation was. And the pitching staff was probably their biggest weakness, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, that's a team that spent a ton of money and is in literally fighting with the Colorado Rockies for worst record in baseball.
Mm.
So, yeah. Now, the Rockies, on the flip side, did not spend a ton of money. They are one of the lowest team salaries in all of baseball. So that one kind of tracks, but still.
And they're still awful. So.
We talked about the Brewers up 3.5 over the Cubs in the Central, and then the Dodgers up 8 over the Padres in the West. Again, the Padres and Diamondbacks both, a good chunk over 500, having pretty good seasons, but the Dodgers are just that much, like just a whole nother level above those guys. But I mean, that's what they have the wild card for. You're not going to see, again, unless something catastrophic happens, I don't see the Dodgers falling back to the pack in the West. So that leaves the wild card from National League. Again, the Cubs have a stranglehold on the first place wild card right now. It's 7.5 games up above Philadelphia, Philadelphia and Arizona are tied 64 and 58 right now, neck and neck for that last wild card spot. The Padres sitting a game ahead of both of them for the second spot in the National League. So, there's some other teams that have a fighting chance. You have the Marlins and Cardinals, only a couple games back. The Nationals, the Reds, which is one of those teams where, I mean, the Reds should be better than they are. So much young talent, and for whatever reason, they just can't figure it out or haven't put it together yet. I know we made fun of the Mets, and we talked about how there's still a whole lot of baseball left to be played. They're only 11 games out of the wild card, which, I mean, it's still 11 games, but
I mean, honestly, if they go on a run, then
right, stranger things.
Guess what? You're back into the race.
What's even crazier is the American League wild card is led by the Yankees and Red Sox. Like, that's not what the wild card was designed for. Nobody thought when they put the wild card in, like, well, it's for the Yankees and Red Sox to find their way into the playoffs. Yankees have a pretty good lead, 8 games up on the first place spot. Red Sox 4 games up on the second place spot. Then you have the Rangers, who have a 1-game lead on the Twins and Tigers. Guardians are right there, Blue Jays right there, and actually the Orioles, who had kind of a aggressive both ways, aggressive selling and buying at the trade deadline, only a couple games back as well. So still, again, and your Mariners only 4.5 back of the wild card. I mean, it's only what we said, 5 back of the division, 4.5 back of the wild card. So
yeah, and the Red Sox, they've been having an amazing past 2 months.
yes.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they're trajecting upwards. So you never know, they might.
Yeah, I said I definitely think you're going to see both of them, New York and Boston, are both going to be in the wild card. I don't know the way Tampa Bay has played. It's been solid baseball. It wasn't like they're just on this big home run tear where they've just been cranking it out of the park. It's been solid baseball, fundamental baseball, offense and defense. So I don't see them necessarily losing the AL East crown. So I think Yankees and Red Sox both get in via the wild card. But man, if I'm any one of the division winners, I do not want to play New York or Boston in the postseason.
No, especially if New York gets judged back.
Yeah.
The rest of the supporting cast is good. Then it's
yeah. I mean, like I said, as well as they're doing right now without him, if you can get that boost of him coming back in the postseason, yeah, forget about it, as they would say in New York.
Yeah.
So before we sound the alarm, any parting thoughts on Major League Baseball before we?
Not really. I mean, it's just been a pretty good baseball season overall, though. You know, teams going on tears and.
Yeah, there's been some teams that I think we thought were going to be good that have turned out, like Milwaukee. Going in, we thought was going to be a good team. They've turned out to be good. The Cubs, we thought were going to be pretty decent. They've turned it on. They had a pretty streaky first half of the season, but the second half kind of turned things around. Yankees, we knew would be good. Boston, the moves they made, kind of thought they would be good.
The White Sox. I mean, they're surprising everyone still.
Yeah. As much as I loathe the White Sox and despise everything about the White Sox, how cool is it that a team like that, like I said, was two years ago, was the laughingstock in Major League Baseball, is comfortably in first place and is not looking back anytime soon. Like that's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
In sports, you love the underdog story. Now, if they're great again next year, then I hope they lose every game, because that you can only be the underdog for so long. Then suddenly people want you to lose. So
yeah, no, exactly. Like they have maybe this year and next year of being an underdog. You know, hoping that they do good. Then you want them to fall off.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the Tigers. The Tigers made that run. Last year, I think it was last year, Javi Baez, that whole story, the resurrection of his career. Everybody's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's a feel-good thing. Now they're kind of falling back to the thing. The injuries have happened, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, okay, well, that's the Tigers. Like, it doesn't really, yeah, it's fine. The White Sox are the new darling. So, but all right, then I guess it's time to sound the alarm. Segment number 2 of the virtual press box is about to get underway, and that means it's time for the return of the undefeated sports heavyweight that is the National Football League. The Hall of Fame game last week on Thursday night, the ratings outdrew any Major League Baseball game so far this year, any game of the Stanley Cup World Series, or Stanley Cup playoff, any game of the NBA playoffs before the championship series. It was a game between the Cardinals and Panthers with literally third stringers and some second stringers playing. And people are so hungry for football, it outdrew essentially every other sport's biggest stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing like I said it I don't know, one of our last podcasts, I said, I think, baseball is America's pastime. It's America's sport. But I think that NFL and football have surpassed baseball as America's sport.
Yeah, I mean, I said we're talking about the Hall of Fame game. We're not even going to talk about the Super Bowl ratings, which I know Ricky brought it up before. It's like triple the ratings of any of the other sports when you're talking about the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But Super Bowl's one is a little different because everybody watches the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame
Even if
game,
you don't watch football, you watch the Super Bowl.
The Hall of Fame game, though, is diehards only. Like it's it's the people that were surviving on the UFL and arena and stuff like that to get their fix before the NFL return. And honestly, college football is just as big. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Week zero of college football is going to be crazy.
And like, don't get me wrong, I grew up college football, like down here in the South.
Oh yeah.
When I was younger, college football to me was bigger than NFL. I really didn't care that much about NFL, but every Saturday, as soon as you wake up, college game day is on, and from morning to the evening, you're watching football.
So for me, it was the exact opposite. I grew up suburbs of Chicago, lived in Pittsburgh for a little bit, Kalamazoo, then we moved down here when I was a sophomore in high school. The only thing I knew about college, the only reason I even paid attention to college football was because of the NFL draft. I wanted to know where guys were coming from, how good they were before they came into the NFL. We were diehard NFL fans. My whole family was diehard NFL fans. The only thing I knew about Tennessee was that's where Heath Schuler came from because he got drafted by Washington, like right before I moved here. We moved here, and I quickly realized, because this is before the Titans were here. This is 94? Yeah, 94. So this is before the Titans. Years. Yeah. So I quickly learned that, college football is a big deal. And you better be on that train somewhere. Pick a team. You better have somebody you root for. And I went to high school with everybody I went to high school with was either Ohio State, because a lot of where I went to high school was a lot of people that moved down with General Motors. So it's either Ohio State, Michigan fans, Tennessee fans, or Alabama. That's it. Yeah. So there were the four teams. There was nobody else. And I was like, well, I hate Michigan. I don't care for Ohio State at all. The people at the time in high school were just throwing Tennessee in your face all the time. So I was like, I can't like Tennessee. And I've never even been to Alabama. So how the hell am I going to like Alabama? So that's how I was like, you know what? I'm from Illinois. I'm going to be an Illini fan, I guess. So that's where it started, and then kind of grew from there. But yeah, now I've been to more Tennessee games than I have anything else. I've been to Neyland more times than any other stadium I've ever been to. So it's, to me, college football, if you like pageantry and tradition and all that stuff, nothing beats college football. Yeah. But if you want to know a money-making machine, it is the NFL. The NFL has created a world where the draft is a big deal. The schedule release gets its own show. The Super Bowl, again, is a cultural phenomenon every single year. The Hall of Fame game, like I said, we talked about, people look forward to it just because it's your first taste of baseball or football in a couple months. And people hang on how fast the guys ran the 40 at the scouting combine. Like, even though we all know it means nothing about how you're going to play in the NFL. Yeah. But
like everyone like hypes up the combine and stuff, but like sometimes you just can't. You can't tell.
No, there's guys that have gotten drafted. They've jumped up draft boards just because of their combine workouts, and they either never played a down in the league, or they were in and out of the league faster than you could think. And then there's guys like I know Tom Brady is the one that sticks out. Just 6th round pick. His picture from the scouting combine, he looks like a drowned wet rat. Like, he looks miserable. Like, he's some homeless kid they pulled off the street to have him work out at the combine. and he goes on to be the greatest quarterback in the history of the sport.
He ran like a 5. He ran like a 5.5 40 time.
Yep.
You know, it's just like,
Well, hey,
you can never tell.
All you have to do is have a workout or a combine that's good enough to make one GM be like, hey, maybe all of our scouts were wrong on this guy. Maybe the fact that he can lift weights in shorts is way different than what he did against competition last year in the Big 12 or Pac-12 or whatever. You know, like, instead of trusting the tape and trusting their scouts, they get wowed by how this physical presence the guy has. And it's like, oh, that's a siren song, man. Stay away from it. Stay away from it.
Yeah, no, and that's like kind of the same thing in like NBA. Because, you know, some guys, he'll be 6'9", 240 pounds, athletic freak, but he's just doesn't have the skill.
No. And honestly, stuff like the preseason that's where it starts to sort things out. Because look, I get it. There's guys that are third string, fourth string in the NFL. They're still elite athletes. They're still some of the best athletes in the entire world. Like the fact that you're a backup corner in the NFL, you're still pretty damn good. Okay. I mean, like, I get it. You're not Darrelle Revis. Not everybody is, but you know, but the preseason, you start to see guys separate themselves, guys that everybody kind of hyped up. You're like, ooh, maybe, you know, he's not really, he hasn't found his feet yet. But it also works the other way. Guys that you had question marks about, you're like, I don't know what the hell they're seeing in this guy. He gets his first taste of real NFL action against grown men, other people fighting for jobs, and they show out. And the guy I'm talking about from the Hall of Fame game, we all thought he was going to fail. We all expected him to fail. And Carson Beck opened some eyes. Now, it's a very small sample size. It's one game against Carolina's backups, but we were all waiting for him to fall on his face. I mean,
no, I personally, you know, I had my little bit of doubts after Carson Beck transferred from Georgia. He lost a starting job. You know, kind of raised some eyebrows there, but I thought he played pretty good last year, you know, at Miami.
Yeah,
I mean they were in the national championship.
Yeah. I mean, they beat...
You know, you also had a great defense.
But they're the ones that took out Ohio State, right, in the playoffs? Because it was Indiana took out Alabama. I don't know if it was... I'm pretty sure Miami
I don't know, because there's like 3 rounds.
Right. But either way, he got Miami to the national championship game. I mean, like, you can say whatever you want about the regular season. Once you get to the playoffs, you know, they weren't playing Chattanooga. Okay. They played top competition in the 12-team playoff. He gets them to literally, I mean, if not for Mendoza willing Indiana to a win, I mean, Miami played a pretty good game. And Beck, up until that last interception, had played a pretty good game. So, I mean,
I thought he played good. I know people are hating on him, and I personally don't like people that are 25 in college football.
Well,
but I thought he played pretty good for.
The thing I also don't really like is kind of you kind of brought it up. I'm not a fan of, hey, I got beat out, I'm just going to take my ball and go play elsewhere. Like, you know, now the other part is he's good enough to go to Miami and get them the national championship. So maybe he had a leg to stand on about why he was replaced at Georgia. But, you know, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of doing that. But anyway, regardless, he comes out, Hall of Fame game. He goes 15-19, 188 yards and a touchdown. He's a guy that he never looked rattled, not once. Even on the first drive, he looked calm. He made good reads, made smart decisions. He didn't have any bad throws where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was expecting to see, that kind of throw. Like, he didn't have any of that. He looked like a 25-year-old quarterback who's been playing high-level football for like 6 years, which is what he had been doing in college. But So you can definitely tell that something like that has helped somebody like him. But the hero of the game was another guy in college that just found ridiculous ways to win games, and not with his arm either.
Yeah, no, and I mean, if crap, I can't believe I'm blanking on it, but I can't remember. Well, what is his name? It was
Haynes King. Haynes King
Haynes
from
King.
Georgia Tech.
And he had a great game.
Yes.
Like, even passing. Like, he made good throws, and, like, he looked pretty good. And I really liked it because, sometimes in the preseason, guys aren't out there trying. Like, they don't really care about getting the win and stuff like that. But I thought that they were acting like this is, like, a regular season game. Like, we want to win this game.
Right. Well, like, I'm not a big Georgia Tech fan. I'm not a Georgia fan at all. But I watched at least 3 fourth quarter come from behind victories that King led last season. And what does he do? Carolina's down. They get the ball last. He drives them right down the field, runs it in as time expires, and unfortunately for him, gets hurt on that play. He scores the winning touchdown. They win. It's awesome, but he's hurt. Put it all out there. He's not going to be out for a long time, but still, you hate to see a guy like that who's trying to make the roster, like you said, had a great game, makes that big play, kind of does what you thought he was going to do because the stuff he did in college, and gets hurt. That's just
killer blow. I mean, I'd imagine for sure he makes the roster.
I would think so because, he's a young guy. You like young quarterbacks because they don't cost a lot of money.
Undrafted.
So, especially now with the way the rules changing where you can have the emergency quarterback. I definitely think he's somebody that's going to stick with that roster in the third spot at least.
And I mean, if he can play like he did, he's took over Kenny Pickett's spot for QB too.
I don't know. Kenny Pickett's got 9 lives, man. He finds a way to stay somewhere.
Yeah.
That dude's been traded. I think he's been traded like 4 times in the last 2 seasons, it feels like. But people keep signing them for some reason. I don't know. But speaking of the Panthers, they made a kind of an under-the-radar move today with a free agent signing that nobody kind of saw coming.
Yeah, just like 2 hours ago or something, they signed Darren Waller, to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, a guy who the last time he was healthy, which was essentially 2 seasons ago with Miami, he was on a hell of a run.
It was last season.
It was last season. There's the start of that's right, because 2 years ago he was retired from the Giants. Comes back, started last season. He was doing pretty damn well. I had him on fantasy. He was doing really well. Then he gets hurt, and he kind of disappears the rest of the season. So he's a guy that is coming towards the end of his career. We all know that, but who knows? Maybe he can kind of ignite something in Carolina. That'd be kind of a cool thing to see.
No, and I thought that for the Panthers, that was a good pickup because that was kind of a position of need for them. They have a couple of guys, but like no one that you want to trust to be a number 1 tight end.
Right. And you didn't spend a lot of, it's not like it's a big contract. It's not a big investment. You're taking a flyer to see if it kind of works out. If it does, you're geniuses. If not, okay, you just move on.
Yeah.
So last week, Hall of Fame game was the only game that traditionally how it works. So like we said, tomorrow night is the first slate of NFL preseason games with your Titans actually taking the field. They are in Santa Clara.
Time to see what they got. No, I'm excited for it.
So what do you think of the? I think just yesterday alone, there was 3 big fights because there's a joint practice between the Titans and 49ers leading up to the game.
Yeah. Was there a fight during that practice, or was it?
I think there's been 3 fights total.
Pretty sure the Browns got into a fight with whoever they were scrimmaging.
Let's see. Cleveland has Where did I see it at? Oh, Cleveland was Cleveland and Chicago. Yes, that there was some chippiness there. The Titans, 49ers, Ricky says 3 fights. I blame it on practicing in the center of a radiation pit, surrounded by all that stuff out there in Santa Clara. But I mean, look, NFL preseason, there's fights all the time. Like it's hockey time, essentially, in the preseason. It's 120 degrees outside. You're in pads, sweating your butt off, going against guys that are trying to make teams, trying to make you look bad. They're not your teammates. You've been only hitting your teammates for the last 2 weeks. You finally get to hit somebody else. So, yeah, all your aggression comes out on the other guys. And these are grown men. So grown men don't like getting hit. So there's some pushback. Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see tomorrow. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, no, and we see it every year with, preseason and, these joint practices before a season. There's usually always a fight.
So we have next week, we have a big show with you and Ricky doing NBA redraft. Then the 2 weeks after that, we should see our full-blown NFL previews, AFC and NFC. But not getting into all of that, just week 1, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Titans 49ers out by the Bay. Actually, an hour away from the Bay because 49ers don't play anywhere near San Francisco. But still, you as a big Titans fan, what are you looking for other than everybody being healthy? Like, what are you looking at the end of the game? What are you like? Okay, that's what I wanted to see.
I'm just wanting to see a well-disciplined team.
Okay.
Not a ton of penalties, not a ton of false starts. Everyone's doing their role and executing.
Okay, yeah, that's a good. And I think Saleh has a history of that's one of his big things. He's a big guy about we can't kill ourselves. We can't these pre-snap penalty kind of stuff. So that would be good to see coming out of the game because that means he's putting his stamp on the team very quickly.
Yeah.
The sad thing about NFL preseason, especially this year, the stories that have kind of outweighed everything else have been the level of injuries. I mean,
yeah,
we've seen
quite a few injuries so far.
And not just like guys being out for a little bit, it's season-ending injuries. I mean, like it's So we're talking about we're 2 weeks into the preseason and we already have guys that are their season's over with. Teams that are constantly having to reshuffle and it's brutal because it doesn't make any sense. The Bears, I'll throw it out there. Kobe Bryant, he's the reason they let Kevin Byard go.
They didn't
they
let the 49ers.
What's that?
Yeah, no, like the 49ers, they lose Ricky Pearsall. He's out for the season.
Right. And he's the guy he's the reason they were comfortable not pursuing the whole Brandon Ayuk circus or Juwan Jennings. They were like, no, we got Pearsall. He's kind of the future of our wide receiver room. And now he's out for the year. And they're having to, that's what kind of led to think Debo coming back to, if I'm being honest, I have a feeling it was, they were comfortable with Pearsall. They didn't really want to add another veteran, but Pearsall out. So now you got to have something. So they get somebody who's familiar with the offense. And that's Debo Samuel, who is still sitting out there in free agency. So one of the games, obviously a game that's near and dear to our hearts, especially yours, just because it represents our Middle Tennessee team. The Titans are all the way out on the West Coast, visiting the 49ers, as we mentioned just a few minutes ago.
As a Titans fan, our resident Titans expert, what are you hoping to see other than everybody being healthy? What are you hoping to see at the end of the game?
I'm wanting to see a very well disciplined new Titans and
Okay.
new jerseys.
Yeah, actually, I think they're wearing the white on blue or the Titan blue, Oilers blue, whatever you want to call it, the white jerseys with the blue pants, which is I think an awesome way to start out with the new uniforms.
Yeah, no, and I just don't want to see a whole lot of fundamental mistakes by the teams because the last few years there has been quite a lot of those for the Titans.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, even with some experienced offensive assistant coaches, stuff like that, they just could not get out of their own way so many times. But Saleh, Robert Saleh, the new head coach, that's kind of been one of his things in the past is his units are pretty well disciplined. So if you see that game one in the preseason, that should give you a pretty good indication of what kind of a handle he has on the team. So
yeah, no, and Daboll's going to be calling the shots on offense. Another thing that people kind of overlook because Saleh is the head coach, but our defensive coordinator, Gus Johnson. I mean, that's also those two together. You got to be excited for that.
And let's not forget, Brian Daboll was a hell of an offensive coordinator before he was a head coach. So, I mean, you got to be excited for the Titans offense too. They can, if Daboll can recreate some of the stuff he did in Buffalo here in Middle Tennessee. So,
yeah, no, and honestly, I know there isn't necessarily. People would argue there isn't necessarily a superstar in the receiving core, but I do like the receiving core. I do think that there's a lot of solid guys in it. I don't know who would take over the number one spot, lining up on the outside, but I really like the core, the unit as a core.
Well, you got to think a healthy Calvin Ridley takes some of the pressure off of Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate takes some pressure off a healthy Calvin Ridley. Plus, you got DK, you got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I'm going to screw it up. But, a young receiving core that took their bumps last year now gets to come into this season with the addition of somebody like Carnell Tate and a healthy Calvin Ridley. I mean, there's no reason Carnell Tate, Jackson Smith-Njigba, similar body style, similar type. Of course, he could also be the next Marvin Harrison too. So that's
yeah,
it goes both ways. But if you're a Titans fan, I think you're excited about what this offense could be.
Yeah, I think the guy you were trying to say was Manor.
Yes, there you go.
Then we got him and also Wan'Dale Robinson.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Wan'Dale Robinson, who knows Daboll's offense, inside and out from being with the Giants the last few seasons. A great slot receiver.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of guys out there that can hurt you in different ways.
Yes.
And, I do think that Daboll will kind of learn to use Ridley in kind of a role that he's more suited for, kind of like how a Devontae Adams was used last year on the Rams.
Yes.
More of a red zone threat, first down yardage, stuff like that. Not necessarily your number one receiver getting, big chunk plays, but.
So we had, we mentioned it. Obviously, the one thing Titans fans and fans of every team, myself included, of the Bears, because they can't take any more. One of the things you're kind of just holding your breath on every time a news comes out of practice, when these preseason games go on, is just the team staying as healthy as possible. Unfortunately, one of the biggest story or the biggest story so far in the NFL preseason hasn't been any one person shining, hasn't been any one person breaking out, or it's been the level of just terrible injuries in the National Football League. Um, you know, it happens every year. It's just part of the game. It's a very violent game, and not just in the hits. A lot of the injuries don't happen in hits. It's you know, I don't think people understand the size of these guys. These are gigantic dudes. Even the small guys, you're putting so much mass on a body frame that's not designed to hold that mass and not designed to move in the ways that you're moving it. So, you know, even these receivers like the Tyreek Hills of the world, I don't care how many weights you lift. I don't care how much you work out. I don't care how in shape you are. When you're moving that fast, contorting your body, and you step wrong or you come down wrong and your knee folds out underneath you, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, case in point, the Bears star free agent signing, Kobe Bryant, safety from the Seahawks, defensive hero last year in the Super Bowl. The whole reason the Bears let Kevin Byard and literally reset the rest of their defensive backfield. They were very comfortable in getting Kobe Bryant. He was going to be the next stud of that defense. And in the last play, it's always the last play of a series in practice, a routine play. He just takes a weird bump on his knee, and now he's having surgery. He's going to be out 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
They'll be lucky to have him play for the playoff push.
Yeah, no, I've seen that he's more than likely just out for the season, you know, lift a knee.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're playing well enough to be in the playoff push, do you really risk bringing him back and hurting it long term?
Yeah, for a couple of games,
right.
You know, and he's going to be not necessarily in shape.
Right.
You know,
yeah, that's the other thing. We talk about this quite a bit. People approach injuries, I think, sometimes like Madden. I think Madden and stuff like that has kind of insulated us. Like, oh, he's out 6 weeks, he'll be back ready to play. Well, I don't think you understand. Yes, he cannot play football for 6 weeks, but then he's got to get back in football shape. Lifting weights, his cardio, all that stuff. Not to mention the psychological thing of I just blew out my knee. Like, is that going to happen again on a freak step? What if I step wrong? And all of a sudden he's thinking too much and he's not back in the game.
Yeah, no, you're definitely thinking about it after an injury like that, you know, for months, you know, you're not running just like free how you normally do anymore.
Right.
You think like I need to kind of it's one of those things like, you know how it is when you like hurt something, you feel it for a long time, you know, and you always kind of think about it a little bit whenever you're using that. And, you know, these guys have to be able to just, you know, tune that out.
If you're thinking, you're already beat.
Yeah.
You have to be able to react. It's got to be so ingrained in you from watching film, whatever, that you just react like that. Thinking is during the week when you're getting ready for your game planning and you're going through everything. But once the whistle blows and you're on the field or on the court or whatever it is, you're just reacting. It's not, and this is kind of, I guess, where you compare it to baseball. It's not baseball where you have time between every single thing. Every pitch, there's time in between. You know, hockey, basketball, football, I mean, it's constant motion, boom, 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 boom. Even though football, yes, you do have stop for plays, but you're not stopping to think with this or that. And then again, once the ball is snapped, you can't think, oh my God, what if I step wrong with my left knee? That's the knee I blew out. Now all of a sudden you're not paying attention to what's going on, and you just got beat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stuff like that's unfortunate. And then that's the other thing is these injuries that we've seen across the NFL, they haven't been like, oh, he's just going to be out for, you know, a week or two, just to kind of, we're going to give him some rest. And no, this is got like torn ACLs, torn Achilles, deep bone bruises, separated shoulders. I mean, like, these are legit. What's his name? Star offensive lineman for Washington, came from Laramie Tunstall.
Yeah, yeah.
Just tore his patellar tendon. Like, he's
going to be out most of, you know, at least half of the season.
Or not his patellar, I'm sorry, tore his bicep. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done it. If you're an offensive lineman that can't use your arms, I mean,
yeah, you're just a body out there.
So yeah, it's just crazy that it completely changes the landscape of what teams were planning on doing going into the season. If you're Washington, you lose Tunstall, literally one of the best, if not the best, left tackle in the game right now. I mean, your whole offense changes. Everything changes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, guys are going to be attacking that. Like, oh, they got their backup left tackle in.
Oh, yeah.
Put our best edge rusher on, the right side, which would be the left tackle. But, just.
Or some teams do, and they overcompensate, and they try to get their star right tackle to move to left tackle. Well, now he's out of position, and you're short the all-pro left or right tackle. That's not there now.
Yeah. No, and there's already been a few, pretty big injuries, like Ricky Pearsall for the 49ers. He's out for the season with a PCL injury, and that definitely hurts because Mike Evans is, getting up there, and you got to have a second option.
Well, I think Pearsall's emergence last year before his knee injury, and their expectation that he was going to be back was kind of the reason they were comfortable with letting Jennings go. Juwan Jennings moves on to Minnesota. 49ers never really pursued him in free agency. They were comfortable letting him go because they had Pearsall. He was the next younger version of what Juwan Jennings was doing. But now, like you said, he never really fully healed from that injury. They came back. They found his knee was swelling up, wasn't healing the way it was supposed to. So they decided just to shut him down. Like we're not going to risk it. His future is more important to us than this season. So he's out for the year. And the domino that fell with that is you had Deebo Samuel, who's been sitting out there in free agency. Most teams aren't even really sniffing him that we've heard anyway. There's been no rumors about him going anywhere. And now he's back in San Francisco. So your 1-2 wide receiver punch in San Francisco is Mike Evans and Deebo Samuel, which would have been amazing 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, that's a hell of a combo. But
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they can talk Julio Jones coming in to run the slot. I don't know. Maybe
give you some production.
But yeah, so it's just crazy how fast injuries can change the landscape in the NFL, and it opens up really the preseason, like we talked about a few minutes ago, is an opportunity for guys to kind of make their mark because things like this happen, injuries happen, so guys get a chance to step up that maybe normally weren't going to get a look, but now they have to have a look because Xavier Woods, for example, is a perfect. He was Titans starting safety last year. He's been in the league as starting safety in the league for 8 years. Titans don't re-sign him; they go a different route in their defensive backfield. Woods sits there in free agency. Kobe Bryant blows his knee out. He's out 4 to 6 months. The Bears are scrambling. They need to have a starting caliber safety. Like I said, they literally let their entire 1 and 2 levels safeties go. All 4 safeties gone from last year. So they draft Tiedemann from Oregon. They thought Kobe Bryant was the answer. He will be when he comes back, probably next year now. But they had to find somebody. So now Xavier Woods comes in and gets a shot to be a starting safety again, this time in Chicago. So it's what he does with that opportunity that really kind of makes or breaks this thing. That's what's always interesting to me about preseason is you get guys who get an opportunity to make a mark. And this is where you see them play against top-level competition, and you're like, wait a minute. Maybe we got this wrong. Maybe this guy is a player. Maybe this guy is somebody we need to keep. Hard Knocks is famous for that, too. They highlight guys that would never have a great story, have great camps, and by the end of camp, you're like, this guy's going to be a future Hall of Famer. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Like, they can't let him go.
Yeah. No, and I'm one of those firm believers with injuries. That's never an excuse for, losing.
Right.
It's next man up. Like, if you're not prepared for someone to go down, then, like, what are you doing? Like, because it can happen at any time.
For example, my despise of the Kansas City Chiefs is well documented. It's not quite my hate of the Packers, but it's up there. But as somebody outside looking in, the Chiefs last year get Gardner Minshew back up Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is never going to get hurt, never gets hurt. His other than one minor injury early in his career, has pretty much played injury-free, okay? Doesn't take a lot of big hits, gets down. He's not a big-time runner. He can run when he needs to, but whatever. Doesn't take a lot of sacks either. So last year they bring in Minshew, who I love. I'm a Gardner Minshew mark unapologetically. They bring him in, and Mahomes goes down towards the end of the season. It's already a terrible season for the Chiefs. It's rocky at best. Mahomes goes down. You're like, okay, Minshew comes in. Doesn't look bad in the game he relieves Mahomes, but the next week suffers the same injury. Now you're down to your third quarterback, which was like Oladukin or something like that. Sounds like the Street Fighter Oladukin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he has to play. And there's no way in hell you ever anticipated your third string quarterback
No.
to be in there playing meaningful snaps in November and December. Like that just was not part of the plan. So this year, the Chiefs move on from Minshew. He goes to Arizona, backs up Brissett. It's a safe bet because you didn't know what Beck was going to be in the draft. The Chiefs move on to Justin Fields. Similar playing style to Mahomes. Nowhere near the level of quarterback Mahomes. I'm not saying that, but a similar playing style. Can run when he needs to. Can run probably better than Mahomes, but is nowhere near the passer that Mahomes is. But you're hedging your bets. Like, is Mahomes going to come back from an injury? He should. But let's say he gets hurt again. Well, now you have another guy who's had starting experience in the NFL. Now, if he gets hurt, again, you don't plan on going to the third string quarterback ever. So, but to your point, injuries aren't an excuse. Like, you still put together this multi-million-dollar payroll. One guy goes down, it's got to be the next man up. The rest of the team has to be able to still function. Granted, quarterbacks are hard to replace. I get that. But if you're not investing in your backup, that's on you. I mean, so you can only roll the dice so much with a backup quarterback. Yes. I mean, look at, what was it? Coming off the Super Bowl season, was it when Burrow first week gets destroyed, blows his knee out and whatever, he's gone. And then you have whoever it was starting the rest of the year was terrible. Jake Browning, I think, was one of the quarterbacks at one time. And, but the Bengals didn't anticipate Burrow ever getting hurt, even though they have a paper thin offensive line. But they did not invest in a backup quarterback, and they were dead in the water as soon as Burrow got hurt. Like, there was no. I don't care how good your defense plays, which their defense wasn't good. I don't care how good your receivers are. If the quarterback has a terrible offensive line and is a bad quarterback on top of that, like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and another injury is Puka Nacua. Or I think it was yesterday or something. He was limped out of practice with groin soreness.
Yep.
And that is not something that, just magically heals in a matter of 2 weeks.
Well, that's the other thing people need to remember is the preseason is shortened. So it's only a couple weeks long now. I think it's 3 weeks of games, plus you have the off week between the last game and the first week of the season. But again, it's your groin, and he has to let that heal. So in order to let that heal, he can't be on the field. If he's not on the field, the timing isn't there. Somebody else has to step in and play. Luther Burton's going through the same thing. This is supposed to be his breakout season with Chicago. Same thing. Groin injury, limped off the field. It's not bad enough that he's going to need surgery, anything like that. Nakua's in the same boat, but you can't just run him back out there. Like, he's going to have to sit out for a couple of weeks. And in order to do that, you're missing chemistry, you're missing, reps, you're missing all this stuff. Now, Nacua doesn't necessarily need the reps, but, for a Rams team that has postseason plans already here in August, they're making plans to be in the postseason. They expect to be in the postseason. They need a guy that Nacua, who's been pretty much injury-free, but now you got to wonder, groins are one of those nagging injuries. It's not he didn't blow out his MCL and it's surgically repaired and now he's good to go. It's a soft tissue injury where it's just one of those things where it can just come back to bite you at the worst possible time.
Yeah, it's going to linger for a month.
Yep.
At least.
And he's again, the one thing that never, ever, ever lasts in any sport is speed.
Yeah.
Speed. I don't care how amazing Tyreek Hill is. At some point, age was going to catch up to him, and he wasn't going to be as fast as he was. And if your game is built solely on speed, now he could catch and he could run routes and stuff like that. But if you're a sloppy route runner and all you do is you can just run fast, well, at some point, you're not going to be worth it anymore because you're not running Chris sprouts. Jerry Rice, for example, never the fastest guy ever in the NFL, not even close, but was a precision route runner. He and the quarterback could trust he was going to be exactly where he needed to be, where the ball was going to be. So Puka has been kind of a good mix of that. He's been a guy that has tons of speed, but he's been a great route runner, very good at getting open, finding the dead spots and zones, things like that. But now, again, like we talked about a little bit ago, when he comes back, because he didn't have that finalization of, okay, I had surgery, it's fixed, I'm good to go. It's a nagging injury, like you said.
And he has a very physical play style.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's definitely makes you raise your eyebrow, at least, on it. I do think he'll be okay by the time week 2 or 3 rolls around. But still, you never know. It might linger all season.
And if it lingers too much, let's not forget, the Rams window is only like this much open. Like, Devontae Adams ain't playing a lot longer. Matthew Stafford's not playing a lot longer. Actually, a lot of people were surprised he came back this year.
Yeah, no, they got 1 or 2 more years of that exact window open. You never know that Ty Simpson might be ready at that time, but we will see. You can never tell with this stuff.
If they can talk Aaron Donald truthfully to come out of retirement and pair up with Myles Garrett, that does help a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, if Aaron Donald comes back for 1 more year, then I do think that, it would definitely hurt the Rams in the long run if everyone just decides to retire after 1 season. But
just imagine the nightmare that it is to game plan for Aaron Donald or to game plan for Myles Garrett. But now you have to game plan for both of them.
Yeah.
You can't double team everybody.
Yeah, there's only so many blockers you can have,
Holy cow.
You can have a 2-man rush with them and at least walk into these sides.
It's not often that you get 2 absolute freaks of nature on the same team, much less on the same side of the ball, on the same defensive line. It's not like you have a star, like a Sauce Gardner compared with a stud pass rusher. We're talking about 2 legitimate elite defensive linemen who are just absolute scheme wreckers in their own right. But now you put them together, good night. If I'm Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett, whoever, I am not looking forward to any of those games.
No, that's probably why Jacoby Brissett said, hey, you got to give me a raise.
Yeah.
If I got to be running from Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett twice a year.
Right. Yeah. This is going to be the longest year of my life. You're going to pay me.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, this is the time of the show where we kind of move to the segment everybody waits for. But before I do that, I want to make sure there's not anything that we need to talk about that we've missed. Is there any points that we need to bring up about the preseason?
I do have a couple of notes that I can go over. There has been some big paydays.
Okay.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, and Jonathan Taylor all got paid this offseason, or this preseason. They all signed a very similar contract, around $22.5 million. 22 to 22.5 million. Peter Skoronski is now the highest paid guard in the league.
Yep. Darnell Wright is now the highest paid tackle in the league.
Didn't have that one. But see, the Panthers, this is a big blow to them. They lost Nick Scorton and Chris Brazell, which was their 3rd round pick, who was honestly a steal in the draft.
I don't think people understand, if you're not a Tennessee fan or a SEC football fan, you're not going to really necessarily know who Chris Brazell is. A guy that legitimately took over the game against Alabama. Was it last year or the year before? 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think
dominated Alabama. I mean, which Alabama is literally NFL players top to bottom. Okay, like they're not a slouch. I don't care if they're having an off season or not. Like
Yeah,
they're
no,
they're legitimate.
there's talent on the team, regardless.
So Brazel again was going to be he's one of those guys too in fantasy that you look at like he's going to be a sneaky pick, or was going to be a sneaky pick until he gets hurt and now he's out for the year.
Yeah, and then the last one I had, the QB battle in Minnesota is over.
It is officially over.
Kyler Murray is named QB1.
That's right. The death of 9. We witnessed it in real time. So it's crazy that the guy who couldn't play quarterback at Michigan couldn't play quarterback in the NFL. Like it's crazy. Like, who would have thought that?
Yeah, it's almost like in college he knew the plays that the defense were calling.
And you're a much better quarterback when you can just hand off to a stud running back over and a legitimate offensive line over and over again.
And a great defense at that Michigan team.
Yeah, and a ridiculous tight end as well, who's been ridiculous in the NFL since he's come in, Colston Loveland. So
yeah, so funny how that works.
Yeah, and I mean, to go back to your point though about the 3 running backs getting extended, that's a bigger deal than people may realize because for the last 5+ years to almost 10 years, it's been the death of the NFL running back. Like that was you can find a running back anywhere in the draft. You can find a running back in free agency. We don't need this, And honestly, not just because he's from around our neck of the woods, but I think the guy who kind of changed that narrative was Derrick Henry.
Oh, for sure. Because what is about 5 to 10 years ago, the league took a shift away from the run-heavy offense.
Yep.
And went very pass-heavy.
Yep.
There was... I'm trying to think how many quarterbacks was that had over 4,000 passing yards one season.
Well, even the Patriots, all the Super Bowls they won, it was never about the running game, ever. It was about Tom Brady, short passes, almost like the Mike Leach air raid style, where it was just short. The short passing game was the running game.
Yeah. Then Derrick Henry changed that narrative, and honestly, 2 years ago with the Eagles, that also helped flip that narrative. When they finally won the Super Bowl with Saquon and Jalen Hurts both having very good rushing stats.
Well, yeah, but the Giants and the Titans both made the same mistake. Like, we can find another running back. Like this guy's especially the Titans. Like this guy's near the end of his career. How much left could he really have in the tank? Because he was utilized like crazy at Alabama. We've utilized him like crazy since he's been here in Tennessee. So how much could he really have left? He's older. Once he hits the 30 mark, NFL running backs are dead.
Yeah.
He goes to Baltimore and literally becomes an absolute stud again. I mean, and then like you said, Saquon. Yeah.
I mean,
Saquon goes to Philadelphia, leaves the Giants, and does nothing but lead them to a Super Bowl. I mean, I think.
No, and Derrick Henry is a little bit of an exception because he's going to go down as by the end of his career, probably a top 5 running back of all time.
He's also a guy that doesn't make sense because the number of carries he's had in college and the pros, he should have worn down by now. That's just what history says. Like the real data says he should have worn down by now. And not to mention he's the size of a tight end. Like let's put that out there too. Like he's a legitimate freak of nature. And he's only gotten better. I mean, he hasn't slowed down, but his game was never about ridiculous speed. It was speed at that size. Like nobody that size should move that fast. I mean, he's not going to beat Tyreek Hill in a race. Let's not. Well, he might now with Tyreek Hill's knee being in shambles, but he's not beating any of the key wide receivers in a race. Okay, but if you're a linebacker, you don't want to see him at a full head of steam coming at you. Like somebody that big should not be able to move like a running back does.
Yeah, and also one thing about Derrick Henry is that he's surprisingly not as physical as you would think he is. But, he does have, top end speed. I'm sure his 40 time has diminished since he got drafted.
Right.
Because I think when he got drafted, he ran like a 4.4 at that size.
Which is ridiculous.
But whenever he gets his stride going and he gets past 5 or 10 yards, then you don't want to be in his way.
Well, and to your point, though, you don't want to be in his way, not because he's necessarily going to lower his shoulder and run you over, but his stiff arm is the stuff of legend.
Yeah, he's going to put you in the ground with his arm.
Right. And if you watch his workouts, his off-season workouts, you'll understand why.
Yeah. He is a freak of nature. And, as an Alabama fan, I was lucky enough to, one of my, first football memories was Nick Saban's first year.
Okay.
At Alabama. All right. And we had Mark Ingram. And I thought Mark Ingram was amazing. Then Derrick Henry came along. And it was a different experience.
There's a picture of the two of them standing at midfield. And it looks like Father Sunday at any sporting. Not taking nothing away from Mark Ingram. Had an amazing college career, had a great pro career, or solid pro career. Not taking nothing away from him. Just two completely different styles of running. Because Mark Ingram is your typical running back. He's whatever, 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in there.
About 212.
Yeah. And he comes up to Derrick Henry's navel, it looks like in the photo. I mean, again, he should not be able to move like he does.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite pictures of all time. Is Mark Ingram. And Mark Ingram's not in pads. He's in his street clothes. But he's at 50-yard line in the national championship. Standing next to Derrick Henry. And it looks like me and you standing side by side.
There's another picture of him with the Titans, with the running back, his backup running back. I don't think it was Tajay Spears. I think it was whoever was the backup before Spears. But same thing. They're standing they're on the practice field, and it literally looks like his child standing next to him. They just happen to be wearing the same uniform. There's no way those guys play the same position, but they do.
Yeah.
All right, but so honestly, that leaves nothing left but the greatest segment in all of sports talk, podcasting, radio, whatever you want to call it. And because you're the guest of honor, I'll let you do the honors. And what segment would that be?
That'll be Give Me 5.
Self-high five.
That's right. It is time for Give Me 5. And of course, this week has got to be tied to the NFL. That's the way the show works. That's the way the flow of the show works. And actually, you were the one that came up with the subject for this week's Give Me 5. So tell everybody what is it? What are we doing this week?
This week it'll be 5 players that have something to prove in this preseason. Whether you're a backup quarterback, whether you're trying to make the team, you're trying to prove that, hey, I belong here. And I'm as advertised.
One of the beautiful things about sports is when somebody gets a chance and makes the most of that chance.
Yes.
And of course, like the NFL, it's going to be on display for the entire world to see because everybody's watching. So that's a perfect way to do Give Me 5. And since you're the guest host this week, you get to go first. So number 5.
All right, I'll start it off. And I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson.
Oh, wow. Drake just sat up.
I think if he doesn't show something this preseason, because we're probably not going to see Daniel Jones, in the preseason at all. Don't want to risk anything like that. So this is his opportunity to hey, I deserve for at least, to be a starter, someone trade for me. I can prove myself.
Former first round pick, Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. He's not proven. He had a great first half of last year. That was a shock.
And it started to fall off
Yes.
before
then
he
gets
got hurt.
And the only other quarterback right now that they really have is Riley Leonard, who did not impress when he had a shot last year. So if you're AR-15, you've got to do something. That's a great one to start it off.
No, he was, Riley Leonard was so bad that they called Philip Rivers out of retirement at 45 years old.
Yeah, like we understand you're literally a grandfather.
Yeah.
But this kid we have is terrible. So will you please do something? And Anthony Richardson, again, all the talent in the world. I kind of put him in the same thing as Justin Fields. Like they're both right there. Talent-wise, athlete-wise, they're second to none. They can do stuff on a football field that no one else can do. They just cannot figure out the passing part of it consistently anyway.
Yeah, and there's just a few things for Anthony Richardson because he's not whenever he started, he's not a bad quarterback.
Right.
You know, his arm, no one has a stronger arm in the NFL than he does.
He has a whip of an arm, kind of like Michael Vick. Okay, it's an effortless throw, is what I call it. Because it doesn't look like he's like some guys. You can tell like they're putting all they have into it. He's just slinging the football. Like it's just nothing.
And he goes 60 yards.
Yeah,
and you're just like God.
So number 5 for me, and we mentioned him, or I mentioned him a little bit ago, but it's for the Chicago Bears. It's Xavier Woods. He's getting a shot to be a starting safety on this defense that was the number 1 takeaway defense in the league last year by far. He's replacing the Kevin Byard spot, which was supposed to go to Kobe Bryant, but he's going to have to be opportunistic. He played very good for the Titans last year. Came out of nowhere to be the Titans starting safety. Has had a solid NFL career, but the Bears especially need him to have a solid camp. If he has a solid camp, solid preseason, you feel a lot more comfortable going into the season. If he doesn't work out, who knows what the hell they do at safety.
Yeah.
So he's got to figure it out.
No, that's a good pick.
All right, so number 4 for you.
Number 4, I'm going to say I put 2 of them together.
Okay.
Because it is a battle in Atlanta.
Oh, I know where this is going.
For Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix.
Yeah, you're going to lean left because they're both left-handed on this one.
Yeah, they're both left-handed. Michael Penix doesn't have any knees left. Tua is, it pains me to say that he's 1 concussion away from retirement.
I don't know that he knows his own name sometimes. It's funny, but not funny. But yeah,
it's just I don't know what to think. He had a horrible last season with Miami.
If you're Atlanta, you have somehow managed. I guess in the world of dating, at least we know Atlanta has a type. Okay, left-handed, injury-prone. Literally have no idea if this is going to work out or not. That's bad enough for 1 quarterback. But that's your top 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
both left-handed, both injury-prone. Both of them, we have no idea if this is going to work or not.
They had to sign someone to be QB3, when training camp started. Because both Tua and Penix were out. And they had to have somebody to throw the ball.
Yeah, I don't even remember who the guy was. He's a guy that's been around for a while.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, but he's been in the league for a while.
But they had to sign him just so they'd have a quarterback to run practice through.
Yeah, that is your QB situation.
Oh, is it Kyle Trask?
I don't know. I'll look it up real quick.
I think it's Kyle Trask. I think. Either way, that's. I mean, if you're Atlanta. And you were already going to have to pay Kirk Cousins the money anyway. And you signed Tua and Penix, like you said, no knees Penix. Tua has, on a good day, knows where he's at. Why not just keep Cousins? Worst case scenario, you're paying a lot of money to your third string emergency quarterback. because you're paying Cousins the money anyway.
It was Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, that's what it was. Okay, Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's even funnier to think that this is the beginning of Matt Ryan taking over the Falcons.
Who's a quarterback?
Exactly. You would think an MVP winning quarterback. I'd be like, hey, we gotta find someone that can manage
Again, you are going to have to pay Kirk Cousins the money anyway. So why cut him?
Yeah.
Just keep him. Worst case scenario is, again, he's your third string emergency quarterback. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you had to bring in Cooper Rush just to get through practice. Like, I can't imagine that's the scenario you envisioned as the president of football operations when you're like, I got this. I'm a quarterback. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'll take over and you sign 2 left-handed, injury-prone quarterbacks and don't keep the solid quarterback that you have under a huge contract.
Right. It'd be different if this was your chance to get out from underneath that contract. Like, oh, we can cut ties and we'd be done. No, you're still paying him anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well keep him. Like, I don't know. Atlanta has made so many head-scratching decisions. The only team that has made worse personnel moves, to me, has been the Arizona Cardinals. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. But all right, so number 4 for me, and Ricky, close your ears, cover your eyes, whatever you got to do. I'm going to go up to the New York Football Giants. It's Devin Singletary, a guy that had such a promising career, good career before he moved to. He was never going to succeed as the successor to Saquon Barkley. Okay, this just wasn't going to happen. He was never going to win, but solid running back. We all know that had a great career, or a good career going. Goes to New York, but the problem is going into this preseason for the Giants. You already have Cam Scatterbo, who, yes, I understand is another concussion away from eating pudding for the rest of his life.
He's fun,
but for whatever reason, they're committed to Cam Scatterbo right now, and you also have Tyrone Tracy. So there's your 1-2. However you piece it up, that's your 1-2. On top of, you have let's see. Yeah, on top of that, you also have Eric Gray, Dante Miller, and Grant Finley, which are all 3 young guys to fill the running back 3 spot. So if you're Devin Singletary, you're the odd man out. I mean, you're literally hoping for Cam Scatterbo to do something stupid or get hurt. That way you can stay on as running back 2.
Yeah.
But, the Giants are very comfortable with Tyrone Tracy. So Singletary kind of is that weird guy out because you have Scatterbo, which is they're going to go with. He's the kind of the cult hero right now. And then you have 3 young guys vying for the spot where it's super cheap and they can fill in when needed. So if you're Singletary, you're making a lot of money and you're not going to get a whole lot of chance to do any kind of production. So, unless you just have a ridiculous camp or somebody gets hurt, I don't see him making the Giants. But to your kind of point with the QB is if you get something to put on tape, injuries happen all around the league. Somebody might need a starting running back or at least a solid RB2. Now maybe suddenly you get cut and you fall right into somebody else's spot.
No.
So that moves us to number 3 for you, though.
Number 3, I don't really know which order I want to do this because I feel like they all kind of are in the same boat. Okay, I know who's my number 1 will be, but number 3, I'm gonna say Jalen Milroe.
Okay, Seattle backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there's something there with Milroe.
Yep.
Just no one knows how much. And I think they spent a 3rd-round pick on him last season.
2 seasons. Yeah, not this season, not this draft, last draft. Yeah.
And, a lot of people thought he was a steal in the draft, but he wasn't. Whenever Sam Darnold was out, they didn't trust him to be QB2.
Right. Right.
So I think this is your opportunity to say, hey, like, I've improved. I've worked on the passing. I can be our backup,
And similar to Daniel Jones, let's not forget, Sam Darnold was available for the Seahawks for a reason. Okay. He had a great year and he had an okay Super Bowl. He was not the reason they won the Super Bowl.
No.
He almost gave the Super Bowl away a couple times. He tried his best, and the Broncos just weren't capitalizing, or the Patriots just weren't capitalizing. But Milroe has an opportunity to plant that seed of, hey, maybe I'm the quarterback of the future. But to your point, he came out highly touted from Alabama. I mean, a third-round pick is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a high pick, so they feel something for him. But they didn't feel comfortable enough with him as QB2 last year when Darnold was hurt, so they went another route. Another season under his belt. He's got some NFL experience. He's got another second. This is his second training camp. His the second year in the offense, so maybe he makes a step forward. Kind of like we talked about with Beck at the beginning with the Hall of Fame game. This is why the preseason is so important. People think, why do we need the preseason? We could just do this. This is why. Guys fight for their lives as far as their careers go. And things happen because we just talked about how unpredictable injuries are. You never know when somebody's going to go down.
Yeah. No, and being QB2 is pretty important because we seen last year with whenever Jordan Love went down.
Yep.
They had Malik Willis, and Malik Willis played good. Did he play amazing? No. He played good, though. And now, look at Malik Willis. He's $30 million richer, and he's the starting quarterback for the Dolphins.
There's no argument that starting quarterback is probably the most important position on the field.
Yeah.
It could be said that backup quarterback is sometimes almost as important.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is who your starter is. And we talked about Sam Darnold is not a proven commodity by any stretch of the imagination. Like, he's a guy that could easily backslide. I mean, he could. And then there's just the unpredictability of he could get hurt. He hasn't had a lot of injuries in his career, but let's say he gets hurt. You don't want to be stuck with Jake Browning or whatever as your backup quarterback. You want to have somebody who can kind of bridge that gap till the quarterback comes back. Now, if your quarterback's out for the year and it's week 2, okay, it is what it is.
Just punt on a season.
Right.
Unless you're trying to trade for somebody that you watch the tape on and you think that would be great. It's like last year whenever Burrow went down. The Cincinnati traded for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and puts up almost 500 yards against the Bears. Just Joe Flacco with a hurt shoulder, by the way. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, but again, they addressed the need. Burrow goes down. We need a backup quarterback. Flacco's not running an inch.
No,
but he can still sling the football. So I mean, that's he's a smart guy. He knows defenses. He can read defenses. He knows the playbook. That kind of stuff. The veteran presence thing cannot be understated enough.
No, and I'm one of those guys. I firmly believe that there's reasons that some guys are been in the league forever, even though they're not necessarily a star, whether it be NBA or NFL. We see it all the time with NBA guys that you need a veteran in the locker room to coach the young guys and to be there as a stopgap.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's a reason he had a career as long as he did. Josh Johnson, there's a reason he has a career as long as he does. There's certain guys that can pick up offenses, that can calm the team down and not, kind of get them through the next few weeks. Now, if they have to play 10 games, okay, yeah, your season, it is what it is at that point. But
yeah, you might go 5-5. But,
right. That's what worries me about Arizona, because that's what Brissett is. Brissett's a great bridge guy. He's a great veteran presence. He's a great calming presence in the locker room. He's not the guy you want starting all 17 games. Like that's just not what he's designed to do. And that's what Arizona's going with. So I get they're playing the Manning sweepstakes. I understand that, but I don't know. So number 3 for me, funny enough, is a quarterback. And he's a guy that's near and dear to your heart. He was a second-round pick of the Tennessee Titans a few years ago. Has made some plays that make you go, wow. And then he's made some plays that make you go, what the hell? And that is Will Levis. He's a guy that physically has all of the tools to be an elite level quarterback. He's got the arm, he's got the legs, he's got the size, he's got the vision. What he's missing is right here. He's missing this right here, and he has not honed that yet.
No.
And the reason I know that is because just a couple days ago, he came out and said, there are not 32 quarterbacks better than me in this league. And, buddy, let me tell you, there are more than 32 quarterbacks better than you in this league right now. Now, physically, if you look at his physical attributes and his traits, I would agree with him. Maybe there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him physically. But like we just talked about with Joe Flacco ain't running anything. Okay, he's not moving once the farthest he's running is the 5-step drop back. That's the farthest he's running. Okay, but he knows the game. He studies defenses. He understands pocket presence. He understands, hey, you know what? Throw the ball away. There's another play to be had. There's another drive to be had. Rely on my defense to get us the ball back. I don't have to panic and make some stupid play that turns a game around.
Yeah.
And Levis needs to learn that maturity part, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it comes with experience. It comes with taking those licks in the heat of battle. And he's taken some big ones. I mean, he's been posterized a couple times already in his young career.
More than a few times, almost every week of 2 seasons ago.
And you would have thought last year would have been a blessing because he gets hurt. He has to sit out the year, essentially. Okay, you get to learn. You come into the practice facility every week. You're in with the rest of the team. You're learning from these other quarterbacks. You kind of see how it goes. You can kind of calm down. You get the speed of the game. And I thought Levis is one of those guys. Every time we talked about teams needing quarterbacks or backup quarterbacks, why aren't they calling the Titans? Why aren't they inquiring about Levis? Why aren't Titans? Now, the Titans, if I'm them, we have Cam Ward. Again, you don't expect him to get hurt. He's your future. You still need a backup, okay?
Yeah.
And you prefer to have a veteran backup, the Andy Dalton type, that kind of guy to be there to kind of steer your young guy through some things. So Levis is definitely not that. But if you don't have that, then the next best thing is at least you have a young guy who's got a hell of an arm, who's got some NFL starting experience, who's kind of got a couple seasons under his belt. Maybe he's learned something. Then he comes out and says, there's not 32 guys better than me. All right, man. So you have not been humbled, evidently, because that's the one thing he needs. He needs to be humbled, and I thought that had happened. But this is a guy that can resurrect his career with this preseason.
Yeah.
Because the same thing. Titans are going to let Ward play a little bit. They're not going to let him play a lot because they can't risk him getting hurt. Okay.
He'll probably play the first 2 drives of the game, and then, hey, come on out. We're not.
So Levis is going to get all the work he wants. This is his chance to either cement himself as the Titans QB2 or somebody else on another general manager, vice president, whatever, of another team is going to be like, hey, did you guys see what the hell Levis did? This past week? Like, if he's a cut prospect or if he's a guy that's on the board, maybe we look at him because our QB2 is nothing. That kind of thing.
Like if you're the Chiefs, like.
All right, if Fields doesn't work out, if Fields doesn't blossom like you think, we need to have a backup quarterback. If you're, well, they wouldn't trade him in division, so Indianapolis is out. But there's all around the league.
Yeah, there's teams that need a quarterback.
Right. Or let's say a starter gets hurt and the team is comfortable with their backup being the starter. That's fine, but now they need a backup to that backup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where somebody like Levis comes in. If he can prove that he has learned how to play in the NFL. not off to a great start this preseason, but we'll see. I'm sure he's going to get plenty of reps tomorrow night in San Francisco. So again, physically has all the tools in the world. Excited to see what he could do, as long as he's kind of learned to accept the fact that he's got to fight for this role.
Yeah. I will say the training camp footage has not been good to him this year.
No, the rollout and slip and fall and weird throw out of bounds. Yeah, it just adds to the lore of Williams. Ugh. All right, so number 2 for you, right? Yeah, we're sitting at number 2.
Now, this one, he will more than likely prove it during the season.
Okay.
Almost guaranteed he'll prove it during the season. But I think he'll want to come out and prove why he deserved to be picked higher in the draft than he was. And that's Ruben Bain.
Oh, yeah. The guy looks like he's about 37 years old in his profile picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, we talked about it with Beck. You do not wreak havoc at a level like Miami if you don't have talent, okay? I mean, the ACC is not the SEC. I get that. It's still the ACC. The college football playoff, where he literally dominated, is against the top competition in the country.
Regardless.
Yes. So the dude can play football. I mean, like, he is.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where, these, the combine measurements and stuff, people start to get things skewered one way or another because, he might have not had the most bench reps. He didn't have the longest arms, but this guy can play football. I think that he's definitely probably the most skilled edge rusher in the draft. Between him, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, he's definitely got the most skill. Does he have the longest arms? Is he the strongest? Is he the fastest? Not necessarily, but sometimes that don't matter.
This guy legitimately wrecked game plans all season long, and now you've given him a chip to put on his shoulder. Because, like you said, he wasn't drafted as high as he should have been.
Yeah.
Still a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's drafted, 16th or something like that?
Yeah, but he's a guy that everybody thought was going to go in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, he should have been top 10. If he had longer arms, he would have been top 5.
And Peter Skoronski, who you just said a few minutes ago, is now the highest paid guard in the NFL. That was the thing they said about him in the combine. His arms aren't long enough. He's got too short arms. He should play guard instead of tackle. Well, yeah, he moved to guard and became one of the best guards in the league.
Yeah. And he is a little, like, that. Sometimes with tackle, you need a guy that's 330 pounds and he's 6'5" and, guard.
You need a guy, when you see him in public, you go, okay, yeah, he's not natural.
Yeah. Like, that guy's different. Yeah. Like, they shouldn't make people that big.
But I argue that the worst enemy of NFL general managers is the time between the end of the college football season and the NFL draft. Because you have too much time to think about his arms are too short. His 40 wasn't as fast as we thought it would be. Watch the film. Was he fast on film? Then guess what? That's how he's going to be when the game is on.
Yeah.
Who cares if he ran 40 yards in a straight line? Nobody ever does that, okay? That doesn't happen. So, his arms were too short. Oh, did he was he an amazing sacker? Okay, then who cares? He compensates for his short arms. Who cares? He still produces. That's all that matters. It's the money ball thing. Like, does he get on base? Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's all that matters.
He does his job. And that's,
yes.
You can start looking deep. And that's where, like, baseball, like, you get into these advanced analytics. And sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot.
What was Joe Burrow? His hands were too small? His hands were the smallest hands measured at the time at the combine for quarterbacks?
Yeah, probably.
The dude just came off an absolute elite college football season where he literally could do no wrong. And barring the injuries, which necessarily, again, paper thin offensive line, when he's healthy, he's a stud NFL quarterback. I don't care how big his hands are. He could have baby hands. He still produces.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yeah, it's just crazy to me. So, number 2 for me, and this is kind of a repeat of the Devin Singletary pick I had at number 4. Same scenario. It's Keandre Miller, running back for the New Orleans Saints. He's just the odd man out. I mean, you have the ageless wonder in Alvin Kamara, he's gonna make, as long as he wants to be a Saint, which he wants to live and die as a New Orleans Saint. He does not want to be traded. He'll take a pay cut to stay in New Orleans, which is rare. You don't see that kind of commitment usually.
Yeah.
But he's going to stay a New Orleans Saint until he retires. And he still produces. So, I mean, there's there. And then in the offseason, they acquire Travis Etienne, which I know we've always all said Etienne, but it's been corrected that it's Etienne. I've heard it like a couple weeks ago. I heard it about 3,000 times because his brother plays for the Panthers at the Hall of Fame game. And I heard that literally they corrected it every single time he was on the field. So, yeah. So, but you have Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara. There's your 1-2 right there. I don't care who it is, however you want to split them up. That's your 1 and 2. So your Keandre Miller, who had a very good season last year, was a surprise for the New Orleans Saints. He's in the mix, but you have your 1-2, which you usually don't get past 1 and 2, unless there's, and again, you don't plan on injuries. I know that. You still have Devin Neal and Ty Chandler also on the roster. So you have 2 very young, very cheap third-string running backs.
Yeah.
So if you're Keandre Miller, what you're hoping for is I'm going to ball out. I'm going to run my ass off every opportunity I get, put myself on tape as much as I can. Somebody's going to need a running back somewhere. Hopefully, that's where I'm going to get my shot.
Yeah. No, and that's all you can do, and at least get in the running back 3. Means I'm sure that, if you run like a 2-back system, that they will find some touches for you here and there. Especially Kellen Moore's offense, he'll find a couple touches for you.
And if you're him, what you didn't plan on was the Saints literally came out and said, look, we love Alvin Kamara. He is a New Orleans Saint, but we can't afford to pay him what he deserves. We need to move on from Alvin Kamara, and we need to trade him. And Kamara was like, no, you don't. I want to stay. I'll take a massive pay cut if that's what it takes. Like I want to be a New Orleans Saint. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to buy a new house. I'm good right here. Yeah. So that's what kind of screws everything up. The Saints are like, well, hell, why wouldn't we want to keep Alvin Kamara? Of course we want to keep you. We didn't think we could though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and Kamara has turned into basically a receiving back.
Yeah.
For most of his second half of his career.
I this is one of those hills that I will die on. This is shifting just a second. The coaching malpractice that Butch Jones did in Knoxville. The fact that Alvin Kamara was never a starter under Butch Jones, was never a starter at his time in Tennessee. He got drafted as a backup from Tennessee.
Mm.
The fact that Jalen Hurd, which, again, he was a weird freak athlete in his own right in college, didn't pan out in the NFL, but still, the fact that Alvin Kamara could not make the field in Knoxville while Butch Jones was the coach will forever just eat at me, because the guy went on to become an absolute one-of-a-kind stud in the NFL.
Yeah, and before then, Kamara was behind some great running backs in Alabama.
Yes.
So
the reason he left Alabama made sense. Okay, he transfers to Tennessee because look, Alabama was stacked 1, 2, 3, 4 star running backs. He's not going to see the field anytime soon. He pivots to Tennessee, where he should have saw the field immediately, and never became a starter. Even though he was so good as a backup, the Saints are like, we're drafting that dude.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's why Butch Jones is no longer coach.
He's still at Arkansas State, isn't he? Is that where he's at? Arkansas State.
I really couldn't tell you.
I think he's a Red Wolf. I'm pretty sure still. But yes, far cry from the SEC.
I remember the horrible days of Tennessee, and Butch Jones was involved in them.
At least Eric Dooley was entertaining.
Yeah. The 1 year of Lane Kiffin was pretty fun.
The best thing about Butch Jones was the Josh Dobbs Hail Mary to Juwan Jennings against Georgia.
Yeah.
But even that shouldn't have happened because Tennessee's defense was so bad. They allowed Georgia to anyway, that's a whole other story for another show. But we're getting down to the number ones for both of us. So your number one guy with something to prove in the preseason NFL 2026.
Number one, I'm going to go with, don't know how to just go into it. I'm just going to say for old Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders.
Man. Now there is another quarterback, now that Deshaun Watson is back to compete for the QB job in Cleveland.
The Cleveland Browns, who have, I don't know what it is now, like 5 quarterbacks on their roster. And you could tell me any one of them is starting, I'd be like, okay.
It makes sense.
I think that they announced today Watson will start tomorrow night. So
as the QB1 per se, but not officially, probably.
No, he's not. No, it said he's not officially QB1. He's just starting the first preseason game. That's it. So he's also the guy they're paying the most money to. So let's not kid ourselves about that. He's still making a ridiculous contract. If you're Shedeur Sanders, the thing that helped you is also the thing that hurt you. Okay, look, you're Deion's son. Okay, that was always going to help you, but it's always going to hurt you too, because everybody's going to say, "Well, everything you got is because of your dad."
Yeah.
Okay, some of that stuff is hard to argue. The dude is also a legitimate quarterback. Okay, is he starting level in the NFL? Let's find out.
Yeah,
he had some shots at it last year, albeit on a team it's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
like
it's Cleveland. they can't seem to get it right. I do think he's shown more potential last year and more production. Well, even though the numbers might kind of not match it, but I thought he played better than Dillon Gabriel. But I just thought the system was so bad, and the whole team was just so awful that, you're set up for failure.
First of all, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, take Deshaun Watson out of the equation, okay? I don't care how much money you pay him. Let's not even talk about the fact of the 27 rape allegations or whatever the hell it is now. It's a ridiculous number. The number is so high, it's gotten to be the point where we don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? He is a horrible representative for your organization. The only reason he is still on that roster is because you owe him a shit ton of money. If you didn't owe him a dime, he would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
So let's take him out of the equation. And let's just pivot to the football field. When was the last time he was good? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
I think it was 3 years ago.
And when he was good, he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So take him out of the equation. You already know you have a rapist who can't stay healthy and wasn't very good the last time he was healthy. So let's go to Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That's who the only discussion should be about, is those two guys. Can they give us anything to build to the future? That's what this season needs to be about. You're the Cleveland Browns. You've traded away your generational defensive talent in Myles Garrett. You wasted an elite level defense from the last couple seasons. That's gone now. Okay?
Yeah.
Now you're like, hey, we're throwing Shedeur or Dillon out there. let's see what we have. If they surprise us, that's great. We found a diamond in the rough. We can mold it. We can build off of this. If it doesn't work out and they crash and burn, awesome. This is going to be a very good quarterback class coming up. We're sitting high in the draft. Deshaun Watson, other than the top two guys getting hurt, should never see the field. You're already going to pay him the money, kind of like the Kirk Cousins situation. You're going to pay him the money anyway. He's the most expensive third-string quarterback in the history of the NFL. Put him there. Don't let him ever talk to a reporter, see the field, anything.
Yeah.
Shedeur, between the two of them, Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel, I think he has more tools than Dillon Gabriel does. He needs to, hopefully, kind of like Will Levis, he needs to have calmed down. The game needs to have slowed down for him. Hopefully, he has done that. Hopefully, some of the ways he was humbled last year on and off the field have allowed him to step away from his dad's shadow and be like, okay, I can be a solid NFL quarterback. This is what I need to work on. Hopefully he's worked on that. We can see it in the preseason.
Yeah.
If not, if he's just like, hey, no, I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm Deion's son, I'm rolling with this. Okay, well, then you're in the Will Levis camp. And we're not gonna see you on a roster next year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think if he can sit back and watch the good tape that he put up last year,
right.
And build off of it, then I do think that there is something there. What the ceiling for that is, we don't know. But there's something there, and it's his time to prove it.
But he has the benefit of playing on a team that's wide open.
Yeah.
Like he's not sitting behind Joe Burrow and he's like, I'm just picking at scraps as far as snaps go. No, you can be the starting quarterback the entire season. All you got to do is outplay Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. If you have an amazing preseason, like I don't see why he wouldn't get to QB1 spot.
First of all, he has the rookie contract, so that already sits well in his favor. He's a cheap alternative. He's got the name power, so if he does play well, you can market the hell out of him. And number 3, physically, he has all of the tools. If he can just figure it out, like Levis, figure it out mentally. If he has stepped back, like you said, assess the good tape, build off the bad tape, there you go. I mean, like you're already on the right track. So hopefully tomorrow night, again, you're going to see, yes, Deshaun Watson's going to get the first drive or two. I think Shedeur is going to get a bulk of the snaps for the rest of the game. So hopefully you see a step forward with him because again, the kid, he's somebody you want to root for, which is weird because he's somebody who's been pretty set up his whole life.
Yeah.
But like, I think he has got the humble pie thing last year. I think he ate it fine and he's moved on. I think he's one of those success stories that you hope for in sports.
Yeah, no, I mean, personally, I really don't care if he does succeed.
Right.
He's set up for life anyways. But, I do think as a quarterback, there's something there. And it's just, he's got a chance to go prove it.
Is he the NFL's version of Bronny James?
I do think he could be better than Bronny James.
Well, I mean, Bronny James did average 4 points at USC, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are comparisons, but
yeah.
I do think that there's I think more of the Doc Rivers' son, Austin Rivers. Okay. That's a better comparison.
Yeah. All right. So number 1 for me is a guy that we've mentioned numerous times throughout this episode. And it's I think he needs to succeed for a completely different reason. It's not career survival. It's not career resurrection. It's literally what this guy is known for. It's for the betterment of the franchise he plays for. And that is Kirk Cousins. He needs to have a fantastic preseason so they don't rush Mendoza.
Yeah.
Mendoza is a guy that came out of nowhere. Had an amazing season, kind of like Burrow did in his season at LSU. Did everything right. I think Mendoza is too nice to be ready for the NFL right now, which is a weird thing to say. He's the guy that you would want to date your daughter, but he doesn't have that dog in him to lead your franchise in the NFL, is what you think. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But if I'm the Raiders, and if I'm the Raiders faithful, I want Kirk Cousins to play so good that we don't even think about putting Mendoza in. Because the second Cousins falters, you know the management's going to be like, ooh, maybe it's time. Maybe we need to see what Mendoza can do. Maybe we need... No. Look, I despise Aaron Rodgers with a passion, but the Packers did the smart thing in not playing him for whatever it was, 2 seasons behind Brett Favre. Let him learn the NFL. Let him get his feet wet a little bit, but not have it all on his shoulders. Let Cousins take the brunt of it as long as he's playing well and not embarrassing the franchise. And Cousins has the ability to do that, but I don't want the Cousins that crashed and burned in Atlanta. I want the guy that kind of pieced it together in Minnesota. Wasn't fantastic, but wasn't terrible. Kind of right in the middle, kind of like the Joe Flacco level. Like, he can win you some games. He's probably going to lose you some games, but he's not going to, be like, oh, wait a minute. We need to throw Mendoza into the fire right now. No, don't do that. Don't burn this kid to the ground too early.
No, I can agree with that because I really do like Mendoza. The only thing about him is that he is, like you said, he is too nice, and there are some holes in his game.
Yes.
That the offense definitely hid very well in Indiana.
I'm trying to think of the best way I would compare him to Peyton Manning if Peyton Manning didn't study the other team religiously. Tool set wise, Mendoza is a lot like Manning. He ain't outrunning anybody. Okay.
No.
He can make some scrambles like IE in the national championship game because nobody expected him to run. So it came completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's athletic, but not in that way. He can make some throws. He's not Jay Cutler. He doesn't have a howitzer for a right arm. Okay. He's not gunning it, 80 miles an hour, but he's smart with the football. He doesn't make a lot of turnovers. He doesn't panic in the pocket. He doesn't get happy feet. Where he will find his niche is if he embraces the Peyton Manning role, which is study the absolute crap out of the opposing defenses, understand their weaknesses, and know before the ball's ever snapped where you're going to go. Because you already know the linebacker's dropping here, the corner's coming up here, the defensive backs or defensive linemen are rushing this, and this. I already know where the ball's going to go because this guy should be open.
Yeah.
That's where he'll succeed. But he's not going to learn that week 2 of the NFL. He's going to have time to have the game slow down, kind of see how a pro handles it. And I think Cousins can provide that bridge.
Yeah, no, and whenever the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins, it's a good signing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a little bit more money than he's probably worth? Probably. But it's also, I couldn't think of a better guy to teach Mendoza.
Yes.
Than someone that's been in the league for, crap, I don't even know how long at this point. Probably 15 years.
It's almost like they're 2 versions of the same people.
Yeah.
They're two versions of the same person.
It's very weird. They do have a lot of similarities, but they're also kind of polar opposites.
Yes.
In a way, Mendoza's coming in as the number 1 overall pick. Kirk Cousins came in as a 6th round pick, I'm pretty sure.
He was drafted the same year by Washington as RG3.
Yeah.
He was the guy. You're drafted already knowing you're the backup at best.
Yeah, you're a camp arm. And,
yeah.
Somehow fate, the universe, the stars aligned that you end up having a great NFL career and make a lot of money And
Whoever his agent is, I mean, hats off to that dude because,
Yeah.
like you said, he signed for more money with the Rangers than he should have ever signed. He's still getting paid by Atlanta for not even playing there. Not to mention how much money he made in Minnesota and Washington on the year-to-year contracts betting on himself. I mean, like,
no, I mean, that guy could get me on a practice squad somewhere.
But hey, I mean, all of these guys that we talked about, your 5 and my 5, are the reason the preseason is what it is and why people tune in to the level that they did for the Hall of Fame game. Because you want to see these stories. You want to see these rivalries or camp competitions play out. You want to see guys resurrect their career. Also, you kind of want to see guys fail too. Like you want to see the guys who are still talking that game at a high level when they're playing at a low level fall on their face. Like we all want that. We want to see the guy who has been humbled rise up. I mean, like, there will be no bigger folk hero than Shedeur Sanders if he embraces hey, I wasn't ready. Now I'm ready. And he builds it up and he becomes a success story, kind of like Cal Raleigh in with your Mariners. Like he was a guy that came from nothing. Nobody expected him to be anything. He becomes this folk hero, kind of like this Paul Bunyan type, runner up to the MVP. That's what we want in sports as fans, like especially if it's not from our team. We want to root for somebody who's a good story. So Shedeur could do that. Like Levis could do that if he embraces if he stops the knucklehead stuff. The 32 people are better than me. No, I don't know, man. Like maybe 40 people are better than you.
No, I mean, like this was saying, like there's a reason guys like Joe Flacco could have retired 5 years ago, but there's a reason that he's still in the NFL. Like he, and deep down he wants to prove that he can be a starter still, but you have to embrace the role and do it the right way.
Well, I also think Flacco is one of those guys that understands, like, we're getting paid a great amount of money to play a game that we loved playing since we were kids. Like, as a kid, we'd play it for free. Now you're paying me, even the league minimum is a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Depending on the state you live in because of taxes and things like that. But, I mean, Flacco's level, you're getting paid a pretty good chunk of change to play football. Like, you get to walk onto an NFL field every Sunday. Like, that's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
So the whistles mean our show has come to an end, and it has been a hell of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. I love being able to talk football with somebody who follows football as closely as you do. I mean, like that's we don't get that every week. Ricky is, as a Giants fan, he leans more towards baseball and basketball. So I get the lazy football talk from Ricky a lot of the time. So it'd be different if his teams were relevant, but Rutgers and the Giants not anytime soon. So. But man, it was awesome having you on this week. And as of course, as somebody who's been on many times, we end the show with your sign off. So as the co-host, or as I don't like saying co-host because we're all hosts. However we rotate, we're hosts. There's no co-host. So as a host this week, what is your sign off?
And like normal, tighten up. It's going to be a great year.
Hey, I'm not a Titans fan first. I'm a Titans fan second, Bears fan first. But I am very excited to see what the Titans do. I think Cam Ward is legit. I hated the fact that he left Washington State to go to Miami, but I get it. He's a guy that, again, a 0-star recruit. This is what we talk about. This is the story that we love to see. Goes into the NFL as one of the top draft pick.
Wasn't recruited at all in high school. And
it's the Titans. And they're wearing the new Oiler/Titan amalgam uniforms. I mean, I think and they're getting ready to open the new stadium next year. So
it's the final season of Nissan.
Yes.
Or this.
And for me, I'm going to go same vein. I'm not going to do again, cautiously optimistic. So I'm moving on. Yes, we won the North last year. now we reset. The season officially starts tomorrow night with preseason kicking off. So it's no more King of the North. We can't do that anymore. So it has to be Bear Down.
Bear down.
Yeah. So this week's episode was all about tighten up and bear down. Again, man, thank you very much for being on. Appreciate it. I know you had a much better night than Ricky did watching his Mets lose in the ATL. So Drake is on cloud 9, and we'll see what the future holds. But you guys have a big show next week. You and Ricky doing the NBA draft, NBA redraft.
We're combining
which is always
2 drafts together and
yes,
building a
So-
squad.
yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Definitely make sure you guys tune into that. Then we will have the AFC and NFC previews for the NFL coming up. We might try to sneak in a fantasy football episode as well. We're trying to work out the logistics of that. But again, it's a great time to be a sports fan. You have the NBA season looming around the corner. NFL season is ramping up. NHL, we've already released the schedule. And Major League Baseball, you're getting ready for the big playoff push as the season starts to wind down over the next month or two. But again, man, great week. Great discussion. A lot of fun having you on. Thank you for being on. Any parting words before we go?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's always fun.
All right. And as Ricky would say, between now and next week, make sure there's only one thing to do, and that's just watch sports.
Put it in the books.
So long, everybody.